And candidate for U.S. Senate running as a Democrat. My name's Walter Hudson. Closing argument 651-989-5855, TwinCitiesNewsTalk.com. Twin Cities News Talk, AM 1130, 1035 FM. Closing argument. My name's Walter Hudson. 651-989-5855, the number to join us this evening. In studio, we have Steve Carlson, a candidate for U.S. Senate, running as a Democrat, but he's not like any Democrat you've encountered before. He's a fan of President Donald Trump, and he holds a lot of positions on issues that you would more commonly associate with conservatives or Republicans, particularly issues like immigration, tariffs. Nowadays, tariffs. Republicans used to have a different position on tariffs just a couple of years ago, but that's apparently flipped now that we have Donald Trump as the standard bearer of the party. We'll get into that next hour. Right now, I want to focus a little bit more on immigration as such. There's, of course, a story here out of Reuters. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Parents who cross illegally from Mexico to the United States with their children will not face prosecution for the time being because the government is running short of space to house them, officials said on Monday. So it's an interesting situation where, Trump initiated this zero tolerance policy at the border where we're going to prosecute any adult who illegally crosses and, take them through the whole process. And that triggered this 1997 decree that we referenced earlier, whereby children can't be detained more than 20 days by the government. They have to be shifted into, some sort of alternative custody. And that was the dreaded separation of families. And so in order to address that, the president signed this executive order basically directing his lawyers to seek a judicial remedy to that. And now in the aftermath of that executive order, they're basically admitting, listen, we don't have the capacity to do this. Like, we don't have the resources available to prosecute everyone and detain everyone and detain their families. What's your view, first of all, on this particular situation where do we need to engage in massive construction efforts? Do we need to build twice as many detention centers in order to hold all these families? Or is there something more fundamental wrong with the status quo of immigration policy that needs to change?
Okay, well, we do need a massive construction effort to build the wall. And as we build the wall, they're going to see that we're not just trying to keep people out. We're trying to build a safe, secure area where people from both sides of the border can live and have a good neighbor relations that were envisioned under the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, which in 1848 created that wall. Now, as far as this situation, I don't agree that they're admitting they don't have the resources.
Well, I mean, that's literally what they've said.
Well, not really. Because I think you need to look behind it. You mentioned that they're supposed to seek a judicial remedy, right? Well, that's going to require the filing of a lawsuit. So as I see it, they're probably going to pick out a case that they can bring to the Supreme Court that is exemplary of the rest of what they're trying to do and win that case. They're also trying to get Amy Klobuchar, Tina Smith, all the rest to vote to extend that 20-day limit. And now you're starting to hear arguments, you can't do that because now we're condemning children to indefinite incarceration. So you can't win no matter what you do. Yeah. But I do think that we can go past 20 days. I agree with what Trump is doing now. I said this, and this is what the Wilberforce Amendment did. It screened people to see, do you have any credible case, any scenario in which you could stay in this country? And if the answer is no, then no, you don't need to see a judge. Because what judges do is they look at questions of law, and they shouldn't have to deal with questions of fact. Those should be able to be dealt with in an administrative hearing. I mean, that's not always the way you want to do it, but very often, if we have a law in Minnesota that you can't discuss the Constitution when you're in an administrative hearing for the Department of Health, of Human Services. You get your cancer treatment taken away with no discussion. You can't say it's unconstitutional. So just because you cross the border doesn't mean you need to have a long, dragged out months long with every lawyer that wants a job to come in and make things up. So like Trump is saying, well, hey, if we're very sorry, but we have laws and you don't qualify, I think they should repatriate them back to their country of origin. They shouldn't just kick them across the border, Mexican border. And this is very humane. And once it's done, people will stop this. Now, there are big problems in those countries, and we need to help with that.
Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the press secretary for the White House, said, according to Reuters, this will only last a short amount of time because we're going to run out of space. We're going to run out of resources in order to keep people together, and we're asking Congress to provide those resources and do their job. So that's the admission from the White House, that they are, in fact, running out of resources. And, whatever the legislative solution to that may be, we know how slowly the gears of legislative, undergoings take.
I think the courts will move faster. I think they can get this into the courts when they have the right case.
Steve Carlson, candidate for U.S. Senate, in studio with us. Closing argument. My name's Walter Hudson, TwinCitiesNewsTalk.com.